guys, and welcome to today's episode of the All Glorious podcast. I'm your host, Michelle. This is a Catholic Christian podcast where we talk everything about Jesus. And today I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about how much of a filthy sinner we all are. This ties obviously into the gospel. I took great notes from the priest who was talking today. His homily was... It's always so good. That's why I always want to share with you. Basically, it's Luke chapter 18, verses 9 to 14. Let me start out with saying this. Especially starting out in the Christian walk, we want to have the most perfect image of ourselves to other people and to ourselves, and obviously into the eyes of the Lord. The more that you walk in your path with Jesus, the more difficult it's gonna get, because you really have to... When you reach like a certain place in your walk, he's gonna like force you to grow in a different area. So it's gonna get uncomfortable before it gets comfortable. It's a journey for sure. And let me tell you this, just for example, when I started out, it's very easy, for example, of, stopping to curse. Recently, I have fallen so much in that area after doing so well. I was doing so well, now cursing months. I've been having a potty mouth. I don't know what's going on, but the thing is that I've become aware of it, which is good. Tying into the gospel today, Jesus was talking about a parable of basically the Pharisee and the tax collector, I think. And basically the Pharisee was like, I go to church, I read not church, but I read the word, and I do this and I do that, I'm not greedy. And then the tax collector couldn't even lift his eyes up because of how shameful he felt. And he was basically saying, I am not worthy, I am a filthy sinner, like I am a sinner, and God, I'm sorry. He said this, oh God, be merciful to me, a sinner. The priest was basically today telling us a homily about, basically there was this girl who, she was in high school, she was applying to universities, and she applied to this one prestigious Ivy League university type of thing where they're really hard to get in. She puts in her application, and part of that application, it's an essay where it says, are you a leader or are you a follower? And initially she's like, I should be a leader, I should write something about being a leader, because that's obviously the good thing to put in these type of things. And after pondering on the topic of that essay prompt for, I feel like days, she ends up writing an essay of, contemplating what she should write it about. And she ends up being like, you know what, I'm an introvert, I am not a leader, I am a follower for sure. So she writes her essay on being a follower. And what feels like an eternity, she gets the mail of the decision from the university. Lo and behold, she is accepted. Now, when she opens the letter, it says, congratulations, you've been accepted to whatever university. And afterward, it says the reason why they had selected her was because out of the 3,027 applications, there were 3,026 essays on applicants being leaders. She was the only one who was a follower. Basically, he was just talking about, don't underestimate the power of being a follower of Jesus. But with being a leader comes great responsibility, and especially leading people in this world, in this earthly world. And with the gospel itself of the Pharisee and the tax collector, Jesus loves how the tax collector was self-aware. We are gonna be sinners whether you like it or not. The part where it sets people apart to be a Pharisee or a tax collector in this case is the awareness and acknowledging whether you are a sinner or not. The Pharisee speaks one thing, but their heart says another. The Pharisee was lacking seeing the arrogance that he had. When you come from a place of thinking or even knowing or having the impression of knowing that you're righteous, you're coming from a selfish earthly place instead of caring about what actually matters, which is what the Lord thinks and sees of you. Bringing us back to leader versus follower, it's okay to be a follower. It's okay to not be a leader in every single aspect of life, because the ultimate leader and the ultimate prime example of leading is Jesus. So following that, so much more important than trying to lead many other things. And not everyone has that responsibility or that calling to be a leader, which is okay. Since starting this podcast and even like publicly sharing, the Christian walk, people watch and people are gonna want to see you fall so that they can point those flaws out. As I continue to do this podcast, I feel like that's something that I really want to emphasize, that even though I'm sharing the gospel, I'm sharing the Catholic faith and all of these things, it doesn't make me a good person. It doesn't make me a perfect Christian woman. It does not. It does not. All I want to do is talk about Jesus because I love him so much. But you know what? We're all filthy sinners, and I feel like that's a really comforting thing to know. Does it make it right? Absolutely not. But I think it's important to be aware and to see the things that you're doing wrong and understanding that you can believe in God, but are you obeying him? Are you following what he wants us to do? So anyways, that brings us to the end of today's episode of the All Glorious podcast. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. May the Lord bless you and have a wonderful, fruitful week, and I will see you next week.